Scaling up is the next step to starting up.
Most of the entrepreneurs just get into the routine stuff of do, but they don't take a step back to make the plan and to be sure they are going on the right way.
The point is, having a business plan is not about the PDF document. Nobody gives a about that. It's about saying, 3 years from now, this is where I want to be.
So the more we scale, the more we get back, and the more the margin is.
You're going to fail anyway, so fail fast with a reasonable cost. Figure out what's expensive, what's not, what's working, what's not. And the first time you're trying to put some ads online, the most difficult thing is to click the button that says activate the campaign, because you know it's going to...
Hello everyone, it's good to have you again here today for a podcast for the Scale Up Show with Antoine again.
Hi everyone.
Pleasure to have you. And today we will talk about multiple things again, about scaling up your own company. And let's start with the first step we wanted to talk about.
Which is?
Which is smart ways of scaling up. And the first one is planning to grow early.
That's a big challenge.
Yeah.
That's a big topic. How do we start with it?
Maybe we can start with how planning is important for entrepreneurs, because when you want to scale things, it doesn't happen like that. It have to be prepared, it have to be planned, it have to be visualized. And I think there is, as I use 3 different words that are synonyms, there is 3 different ways to go. So which one do you want to go?
Just out of definition, I think something interesting is to start with, we're talking about scaling up.
Yeah.
And scaling up is the next step to starting up. So when you have a startup company, it's a question of let's get shit done, right? Let's get started, and we do 1 and then 5 and then 3 and then 8, 9 and then back to number 2, which is okay because that's the process. But scaling up, as you said, is a question of, okay, we need to get to the next stage. And so it's not about 1 and 2 and 3, it's maybe 15, but then it's 16 and 17 and 18, more or less. So it's about structuring things. Mm-hmm. And it's about making sure the organization is becoming an asset and something that can work, because there is a process, and so forth and so on, you follow up the process.
Yeah, and that's why when you develop a company and when you want to scale it, structuring is mandatory, but planning that structuring is mandatory also. So you need to, of course, get to know where you will go, with what structures, what processes, but you need to plan it. And I think most of the entrepreneurs just get into, the routine stuff of do, but they don't take a step back to make the plan and to be sure they are going on the right way or not, actually, because if not, then okay, let's change the way. But this planning way is important.
But that's also because when you talk about planning to people, they look like, oh man, stop it, we're
I
just
don't
too
want
busy.
to
I don't want to do it, not now.
Yeah.
We can always do it later on. And one example is when you talk about business plans. People do it when they need to raise money, not when they need to start building up things. And that's because they feel like planning is just something optional. It's not something that's going to change the future of the company. It's not something fundamental. The point is, having a business plan is not about the PDF document. Nobody gives a shit about that. It's about saying, 3 years from now, this is where I want to be, over there. 5 years from now, I want to be over there. 7 years, company is sold. And if you think like that, then it means, then you go backwards. So you reverse engineer it. And you say, if in 7 years I need to sell the company, it means in 5 years there needs to be another CEO acting for me. I'm out. And I can be just an advisor to the CEO. And that means in 3 years, I need to have a team. And the team has to be able to second the CEO who's going to be there. So you have to reverse engineer it.
Yeah, and so in the end, planning, as you explain it, is getting clarity on what you had maybe in mind somewhere, but it's lost everywhere, and you get clarity to know okay, which step will refer to what, and what are the actions you need to put in action then, according to what you planned. So, okay.
Yeah, and it's also, if you think from a tangible perspective, right? Something practical people can do now. What do you spend tomorrow?
What do I spend tomorrow?
What do you spend tomorrow? You need to do marketing. Okay, but you need to change the couch. You need to do some refurbishment in the common area of the company. What's the priority?
Okay, got it.
Right? And at the end of the day, if you don't start planning that kind of thing, if you don't say, right, I want that kind of outcome, then how do you decide strategically? Decision is about information, and making the right decision takes the right information. How can you decide? How can you invest if you don't know what you're going to invest into because you want to obtain that kind of result in the end? It's very difficult.
Yeah, and in my opinion, as you told about different area on the business, planning your growth on what you spend, as you said, is in that way to get everything clarified and understand how it will go. If you understand how much, not how much, but how, depending of the leverage of the scaling of the company, how variable this percentage, let's say, of investment will cost you, then you know better how to scale it. Because if you spend more by the scaling itself and you don't take more margin at a time, then there is a problem somewhere. So maybe you need to know when you spend, what will be the impact on the growth itself, what will be the impact in your margin, and then because you get to know the margin, okay, you know this one can be prioritized little by little, because the more you spend on this one, the more margin you will make. I will take the example as what we do now. We do mainly organic content for now. This organic content costs us money actually, so we invest in that organic content. But because we invest in that organic content, we know once this organic content will blow up, will explode, will make views, will make traffic, the margin will be 100%. So it's an investment that costs a lot at the beginning, but the more we scale, the more we get back, and the more the margin is. So that's also a point, for example, for any company that is scaling, to get to know, okay, does my organic acquisition cost me money? Okay, how much? And if I want to make a plan, because we talk about making a plan, of that, how much will it cost to have a real plan followed from day 1 to 3 years to 5 years? Okay, then the margin will grow. No, yes, okay, we adapt. What about the marketing itself on paid ads? Okay, paid ads to get what? To get visibility, to get traffic, to get conversion, to get whatever. Okay, what are the margin I could get? Will I get some profit? And if I spend more, will I get more profit? Yes, no, depending of the margin you get. Maybe you will have no margin and you will have only loss, but because you get emails, maybe it's interesting because you can show them again and then make margin on second time. So it's a lot about your process. You will have to know where you spend the money, as you said, but understand how in the mid-term, long-term, that spend will be back and will be ROI'd.
There is a way, a method that we use with the entrepreneurs we work with. It's something people can actually use now if they want to try and put that into place. And it's just a game of logic where you take the conversion funnel, right? So it's the tofu, mofu, bofu logic, where there is the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. And so you take that logic and you adapt it. So top of the funnel, how many contacts do you make on a monthly basis? Right? And I mean, people who look here, you should be doing that, right? Take a pen and do the exercise. 1, how many contacts do you meet? How many business cards do you get at the end of the month, every month, right? Let's say 100. Okay. Based on that amount, that number, how many people are you going to meet? 30. Okay, so that's 30%, right? 30% of these people, how many of them are gonna maybe ask you for a quote? 50%, 1 on 2. So that's 15, right? So in the end, we had 100 people at the end of the month, and that's 15 people who actually ask us for a quote. And then 1 on 2 is going to sign up. So that's 7, right? So 7%, we know with numbers, 7% of the people we meet every month are going to sign up. Estimate. That's going to be our conversion rate. Point number 2, what's the average amount of the basket that we're going to sell? So if it's online and we sell courses, maybe that's $250. If it's water bottles at the supermarket, maybe it's 5, whatever. So people have to know. So how many people? What's the conversion rate? What's the average basket? And then we move on. Okay, how many times a year are they going to do that? What's the lifetime value of the client? So if we know about that, we can start scaling the organization, because we can say, right, that guy is going to come back every week. So it's not €5 or $5 for a bottle, it's $5 a week.
$20 per month.
$20 per month, that's more and more. So it means we can start thinking, oh, okay, so I need to invest into some stock, right? Because I need to be able to keep whatever I'm selling at the back. So I need a bit more space. And now I've got a good reason to do it, because I can use my numbers to say this amount of people is going to get in, so I need to be able to serve them. These are just the first numbers. We can add some more. We can say, okay, there is the recurring thing. How can we provoke them so that they're going to come back to me? I'm selling bottles, right? But the guy next door is selling the same. Why should they come to me? Because maybe there is a loyalty card, right? Every time they come, they get some goodies, whatever I'm giving them. Or I'm selling them something more with a discount, whatever. But there is a way to make them come back. So we can add to those stats and we can keep building. So that logic is something that's pretty easy to build on. And obviously, if we keep using it, we get to the last point you mentioned, which is the return on investment and the margin. So if you can say, okay, the margin on my water is going to be 5%, then how many people get you, how many clients get you, what kind of turnover, with what recurring nature, and what kind of margin, what kind of profit, return on investment, and then you know how much you make. And based on that, you can start building what would be the next steps and deciding what you want to invest in.
Exactly.
Do the exercise.
Yeah, go on, guys. No, I think it's really good steps for physical business, for digital business, and if you don't get to know where you will have to spend your money, then you won't spend first, and if you don't spend, maybe you will get tired and you will lost your energy and you will get disappointed. And no, you need to spend. Spend is investment in your own company. So yeah, you will have to do that. And then, of course, all of that. So right now we talk about how to spend, how to understand and to analyze what you have to spend and how to get the numbers in front. But you have to plan then, okay, you have numbers, you have things to do, you have actions to do, you have a priority now to work on. Okay, so what is this priority? Let's say, okay, I talk about acquisition. Let's say the acquisition organically, again, is your priority. Okay, then plan it. What will you do organically to create content? For example, us, we have to do more, but still, we gather at the studio, we make content for 1 hour, 2 hour, whatever, and then we send it for editing, and then we come back again and we record again. Mm-hmm. So,
and it's the same for content, SEO, talking to someone who can put you in touch with the press, whatever.
Exactly.
But you have to plan it.
You have to plan it. And because you know the numbers of your target, you know what action you have to put up front for that target. So let's say we talk about creating content. We'll use our example at the Scale Up Show to give you an idea. For us, we invest in that creation of content. We spend money for that. So we planned to create content, to be able to give you at least one video, long video a week, and to be able, in front of that, to give you one vertical stuff of that podcast or whatever, every day, so that you have content. But if the people in their business don't know exactly the rhythm they have to use to create content, they won't create the content. So, okay, know the rhythm, plan the rhythm you will have, and then, okay, go on, make it, and it will be easier. You just have to speak about what you know, your expertise, and I cannot push more even in what I give, for example, to create content with podcast and create content online. Guys, it's your turn now.
Something else is important here. It's not just about spending, it's about testing. And so the topic right now that we're talking about is what are the smart ways to scale your business, right? And so, well, the first one is plan it. The second one is test it. The typical mistake is when you put a lot of money on something and you're not trying it. And it doesn't work, well, that's too bad, you've lost your money. And it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone, that's the game. Happened to me last week, right? We've put 40,000 euros into a website that doesn't work because the developer vanished. Well, turns out there was another option to do it the cheaper way. Now we learn, right? That's an expensive lesson, but still you learn, and whatever you're learning out of the exercise gets you into a better position to do something else. And that logic, it's got a name, it's the lean logic.
I was going on. So yeah, it's a lean logic, and get yourself adapted and adapt yourself in that way. It works better to what you have in front of you, depending of your business problems, depending of how you grow, how you respond to a new offer, how you respond to a new problematic on the market, a new pain. This is definitely the lean logic. So you adapt, and because you adapt, then you just have to processize it, because you got to adapt, you processize, and you can scale it. Same, again.
There is so there are at least 2 books on the topic, but one is the reference one. It's the Lean Startup, written by Eric Rice, and in his team there was few people, including a lady. Her name was Anne-May Chang, and she wrote the second version of that, which is called the Lean Impact, and it's about adapting that logic of lean to social enterprises. And it's really interesting because she gives a pretty funny example, I like it, about so social enterprises and research and academics and things like that. And she's taking that example of a team that got funding to go and grow tomatoes in Africa, right? For, hunger relief. And so they go there in a village and they start growing tomatoes and everything is great and all that. And the tomato is growing, right? So that's food for the village and it all goes great. And then in the morning they arrive and tomato is gone. They're like, what? The hippos. They just came in and they decided the tomatoes, they were actually ripe and good to eat, so gone. And those guys, they asked the villagers, like, you didn't tell us there were tomatoes around here. And the guys go like, it's Africa, man. There are hippos around here and you didn't ask. So the point is, if you don't ask, if you don't try, if you don't test, and you're just pushing your tomato idea and you're not looking around you to just try and figure it out, then you're taking just risks. And the best way to scale whatever business you're building is not to take risk. It's to take acceptable risk and balance it with the term in the lean startup logic is the validated learning, which is we're going to make an hypothesis first. We're going to make the hypothesis that the tomatoes, they can grow. And then we verify. And then we're going to make the hypothesis that maybe the villagers, they haven't tried before. Or maybe the villagers, they haven't managed to do it. Or something. And we're going to ask them. And if we ask, they're going to tell us, well, it works tomatoes, but hippos like them. and we don't manage to get there first. So we've stopped using that.
Hippos won.
Hippos won, the bigger, you let the hippo go. So that's the point with the lean logic, is you have to make the hypothesis about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get, what you're trying to achieve, and then you've got to try it. You've got to make the investment, small investments, because you're going to fail anyway. So fail fast with a reasonable cost. Figure out what's expensive, what's not, what's working, what's not. Go back to the logic of how many people, what conversion rate, and blah, blah, blah that we talked about earlier. Make the hypothesis, see what's working, what's not working, and then you go on and you keep what is really working. And if things are not working, you can pivot and you can move to something else.
Yeah, exactly. And I will try to explain that on analysis on media buying. When you do some acquisition, paid acquisition with Facebook, with Google, actually, when you analyze results, whatever data you have, it's always lean way, because you have to adapt. So let's say you have a campaign that is going on, and you have some incredible metrics on I don't know, the vision rate. So a lot of people look at your ad, whatever it is, Google, TikTok, whatever. A lot of people look at your ad and stay till the end of your ad. This is an incredible metric, and this percentage of people tend to grow the more the video is short. Okay, then you adapt to make that a special content. The shorter you can to deliver the same ID, same message, okay, you test again. So you lean, you just adapt. Okay, now you have 3 different creative, we call it creative, it's a kind of content ready to be shown to people, so ads itself, that have different size. Okay, now you realize it's not a matter of this incredible metric, it's a matter of click. Okay, you have good clicks, but on the longest one, it's better than the shorter one. But you have a better, let's say, percentage of viewing in the short one.
Because in the end, what you're saying is people can be curious and they can watch the ad, but it doesn't mean they're going to be willing to click. Exactly. So the second layer of test is, first you see that they're watching it. Good, it's interesting. Are they going to take action? Yes, no, click.
Exactly. Then you adapt. So now you see they click more on the longest one. Okay, so if they click more on the longest one, what is your goal here? Get them to click, because you want them maybe to put their email, maybe to get to buy directly on your website. So you want them to click at a point. So, okay, you will focus on the one that give you the click. And because you prioritize your KPI, your key performance indicators, then you know where to adapt. And in media buying, when you do publicity in any kind of ads, you have always to adapt depending on your KPI. Because if you don't, it's as simple as that. Because you don't lean, I will take that term, because you don't lean on your ad development strategy, campaign, whatever we call it, you will spend money that you won't get back. So what's the point if you don't adapt? And then I will say the same. What's the point if in your whole company you don't adapt? You will keep spending money on whatever subject, not only ads this time, but you won't get back money because you don't adapt. So lean is really important on that way.
It's not an easy topic, because when we've done it. People who are looking, they're probably done it too, right? But you start a business online, and the first time you're trying to put some ads online, the most difficult thing is to click the button that says activate the campaign, because you know it's going to cost you money and you have no idea if it's going to be profitable at all. So, sometimes you just I'll do it tomorrow, we can see, and in the end nothing happens. But if you condition yourself to say, okay, it's going to be $5 a day, I'm not losing much, but at least I'm going to get the data, and the data is going to get me the information I need to know, right? That's how you build it.
Yes, the data get you the elements you need to adapt. So let's say you have the capability and the skills and the furniture, whatever. You have the resources. That's what I was searching for. You have the resources to create the content you want. Let's keep that for granted. So you are able to create whatever you want. If you have that possibility, that's amazing, because you can create whatever the market may want. But if the market is telling you on the ads, okay, we don't give a shit about this subject, we don't click that much, we don't have a real interest, we don't have engagement, we don't have any I don't know, add to cart then behind for whatever product it is, then you have to adapt again. So you have to create another content with your resources, infinite resources to create content, to create the right content for the right people. So I will say also on that end, maybe you have the right content, but maybe it's not the right target. So you've targeted Indians, and it's US people that will react. You've targeted Australians, but it's Canadian that will have react. You've targeted Canada, French Canadian, and in the end it will have be French that will have react. So in the end, you have both ways: the right content, the right message, and on the opposite, the right target. You can have the right message and sometimes the wrong target, and sometimes the wrong message with the right target. But on the data, it doesn't mean you will have the answer directly. So you will have to cross data and never stop testing even old creatives, because they get to work somewhere. Maybe not now, but they get to work somewhere. And of course, there are a few basics you have to have for your creation of content to be sure that it will work on paid media. But if you have the basics and you create a good message in a good way, in a good with good habits in the ads, then you have more chance to be in the direction to find the right target. And whatever ads you will make, whatever target you get to search, come back to that first thing we said: plan. We said business model and business plan is something that give nightmares to entrepreneurs, but if you do it well, it will help you to focus the right target, and it will help you to create the right message. And if you do that with the right search, with the right use of, I don't know, AI to help you to get those answers, it will get easier for you then to have ads that works. So use the skills you have around you, use whatever you can to make that possible. Yeah.
There is something we often say when we look at a business and at the resources that are available. And typically there are three resources: money, time, people. That's what you have when you're an entrepreneur, right? The problem with money is it's not unlimited.
Yeah.
Time is even worse than money. And people can be difficult to manage. Usually, if you have the money, you can have the time and the people. If you have the time, then the money can be managed and the people are usually well managed. And if you focus on the people, the question is how to make sure that they're not using all your money and all your time. So it's always three things that are going to be interdependent and interrelated. And as soon as you start thinking in terms of, okay, I've got these three, how do I use them? How do I leverage them? Then you start scaling the way you're organizing things, because it's not about being random anymore. It's about doing the most of what you have.
Exactly.
The point about people is another way to work on your scaling from a planning and a strategy perspective.
And now I think we can go deeper on the next point, because I don't know if you are going on that way, but as you said, putting the right people, it helps you to have a better understanding for the people outside of your company, and then from the inside to get to know more your own company. So, yeah.
The people are a very efficient way to scale business activities, because you can have people at different levels. You can have people inside the company, so that's your staff, that's your business partners, the people who work with you or for you, it depends. With you, it's always better anyway. So people who work with you, but then there is the rest of the world. And just because they're not on the payroll doesn't mean they're not going to become an asset that you can scale, right? Your customers, they're not on the payroll. Turns out they're paying you. Make them happy. They're going to keep talking about you and they're not going to come back. So they are a resource that you can leverage to scale the business. You can count on them to push the word and bring more clients to you. Partners, people around you, fans. I don't know, if you grow tomatoes in Africa and you realize that there are some hippos there, be careful. You can still work with other NGOs around. Maybe one of them is going to have a project right there for water or sanitation, right? Whatever. But you need one plane to go. So just because you work with 2 more NGOs means you can save on the plane costs.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It means you're leveraging your resources and being careful about your costs. That's a way to scale.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do it, not only inside your own organization, but when you work closer and closer with other organizations, it's both ways. You gave the example of the tomatoes, but let's say a digital marketing agency. You are a digital marketing agency, but you are specialized in community management. Okay, but you find a partner that is specialized in ads. Okay, and then you find a partner that is specialized in video. On 3 companies, you will have more and more strength than only you alone. So from the company 1, you will send customers to the company 3 and 2, and the company 2 will send to the company 1 and 3, and same for the last one. So by working in partnership, also in this kind of area, you will always get faster, because you will push yourself higher and higher. And I was on a talk with a friend, Pierre, that is also actually an investor now with a podcast studio, and he is actually just exit and sold his shares, most of his shares of the company, but he was one of the biggest venture in Web3 in France. And he got there not by himself. He's good communicating and good in networking and relationship and everything, but he got there because he got partnered with companies that was also bringing skills in that field, but that was not competitors. So let's say he had a partner that was generating and creating campaign with influencers in the Web3 ecosystem. Because of that, he was developing the technology behind for every customer. And because every customer came to him or to the marketing way, they got to send each other the contacts, and be most of the time, on 80% of the projects, they will be working both on that same customer. And doing that way, they may succeed a lot of customer also, but it allows them to bring a lot more customers than they will have done alone. So that's the example of working in partnership with people. And as you said, there is also customers, and I will give something about customers. The biggest restaurant when you see at a city that have the best reviews because they are good. Let's take it at for a basis.
That's a good point. The reviewing system is a good point.
Yeah, because the ones that are succeeding the most are the ones that have the more reviews. And what did they do? They just put into the process of the company, of the person that welcome people, and the person that takes bill, and the person whatever, they put in that process someone that will ask for a review. And if they don't do it now, most of the time they don't do it. So they try to make them create that review while they are here. So because of that, they make a review. Most of the time they give a good review because they are in front of the people. It's difficult to put other than 4 or 5 when you are in front of the people. And because of that, in Google Maps, for the example of restaurant, in Google Maps, they got on the top. And because they got on the top, they bring more customers, and they do the same. So this way of using people that are happy of what they have hit, of the experience they had in your restaurant, whatever, it's the best leverage you can have when you have a physical space, for example. Same for us. We try, whenever we have customers that come to record, we try to have them give their
testimonial, feedback.
Yeah, whatever they think about the place, how good they felt about this experience of recording, and then we use it to put on social networks. So because of that, we know it will bring social
proofing.
Social proofing, exactly, about what we do. And because we do that, more people will come. And then, in addition, they will come. So that's the way of leveraging the customer without pushing him or, trying to squeeze him until the last drop. No, you just do something they will be glad to do because they had a great time at a time that will be beneficial for you and that will be a pleasure for him. And then it's a win-win. So that was a way of using customers as a resource for your development and your scaling.
It takes a lot of, to use a word that we were using earlier, it takes a lot of planning. But I mean it more as it takes a lot of careful consideration. It's part of it, is planning. We need to plan the financials, we need to plan the go-to-market strategy, we need to plan the marketing cost, blah, blah, blah. We need to plan. Okay, fair enough. But on top of that, we need to test. We need to try it out. We need to be lean on that. We need to build hypotheses and verify them and see how it goes. Okay, so planning, testing. But then there is a lot of it that has to be about we've got to be crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
We've got to get crazy about, we work with people. How can we make them feel good?
And great, even more than good. Great.
I mean, that's something you see every day in companies. Small companies have problems because they need to attract talents, right? And why would you get into a small company? Well, you've got to pay the bills. Okay, but that's not the best reason. So how do you attract people in your small company when you want to build a new project and nobody knows you? That's difficult. So you've got to think big, think crazy about what you can give them, what you can pitch, what you can say to make them want to be part of the team, not for the money, for the rest. And that's the same when you have a company I was telling you about that example of a company where you can have 50 people and you can have 10, 15 million in 20 million in turnover. And still, when you ask the staff inside what they think about the company, they're going to say, well, it's a fun company. I can do pretty much what I want. I like it. What don't you like about it? Nobody takes their responsibilities. You can't do anything. There is no budget for this, for that. The direction is never there. If you ask them if we can do that, they're like, oh, let me come back to you in 2 weeks, and they never come back. And they don't want to think crazy. Result is, these people, you can't keep them. The talents are going away. You can't scale a company and a business without having the right talent, without having the right people. The key is you've got to think crazy. You've got to keep them. You've got to make them want to come in, and you've got to make them want to stay in. You've got to think crazy.
And on that way, there is something that we saw about Google a lot. Google has the way to make people feel great while working, so they have great place with great experience. And we have Maxime, that is our associate on the podcast studios, that just came, I think, this morning with that thing. Hey guys, why won't we take something amazing to put inside the place, so that whenever someone comes, he just want to bring, I don't know, the press or whatever, just to come and make an article or make a video, and then they will just come to see that. Okay, but you know, something like toboggan. But you know, people will just slide all around the place, or I don't know, somewhere they can throw things, and whatever is crazy. And the more big it is, then the more easy for people it is to remember you. So I had also this idea, for example, for here, because I was thinking, okay, what should we do? What could we do? Because the place is not as big as it is, and outside we have a good place, and people should need to have something to put themselves in condition before going down and get to record whatever content they may have. And I was thinking about, you know, throwing axes. So this kind of stuff is just so fun. You just relax, you just do it, and then when you go there, you what did you do to get ready? Or just throw axe. Okay, let's go. So there is a lot of things that we can do when we are crazy, and when we bring that crazy to the people, because it will again allow them to remember you, and it will also be something that will create an ecosystem, an energy around you. And what I really like is that if you put that craziness in your employees, you create
the dynamic.
Say again?
The dynamic?
You create I like this. You create a real dynamic about how to put a lot of energy in a space. And the goal here, for example, of the podcast studio is to really create this energy. And with creative things, I think there will be a lot of easiest way to scale it.
So if we summarize, about 3-4 ideas that people can take action on now and leverage to start scaling the businesses.
On what we say?
Yeah.
First one, we said plan. You have to put yourself in front of your paper and get to know where you will spend money, where you will spend time, what you will do, and how this will impact your development of your company. So you have to be in front of a white page and write and get to plan things. And if you're not good at planning, you have an AI named ChatGPT. You give whatever idea you had, you ask him to organize it, and it will be easier that way. But plan it, understand it, and visualize it. That was the first one. Second one is the lean way, right? The lean way, from what you will have to keep in mind is you always have to adapt. Whatever subject it is on your company, you have to adapt and to bring it to a level of understanding that make you bounce. Don't stay where you are, just bounce, because you understood what happened before, what was the pain, what was problems, what was the failures, what was the success, and you adapt for the next level.
The point is not to just spend, it's to test.
Yeah, on whatever subject.
And adjust.
Yeah, spend, test, I don't know, experience also with customers, take feedback, whatever it is, just adapt according to that, and you will just grow. Because even yourself as an entrepreneur, you will get better and better by understanding more the big picture and adapt more on the next ones. So yeah.
And the third point is to remember that as far as resources are concerned, money, time, people.
And the people is a great one.
And the people is they're all important, right? You can't do anything without the time and the money in the first place. But the people is where you can really leverage things, because that's where you can motivate. That's where you can build the beginning of the hockey stick, right?
Yeah.
That's where things kind of grow and then
and explode. And I will add one on that people on those three stuff. The employee advocacy. I told you a little before we began that call because for me, employee advocacy is allowing your employees to become your own ambassadors of your own brand. I will take company, it's a French company, I don't know if it's worldwide, but I think it is, 21st Century. It's a real estate company. For a long time, they had an employee advocacy that was really strong. Whoever worked in this real estate company were an ambassador for the company in LinkedIn, in physical. They represent 21st Century, and they.
Oh, you mean Century 21?
What?
Century 21.
Century 21.
Yeah, it's the same. They are huge in China.
Okay, so great. They are worldwide. So Century 21.
Century 21.
Okay. So Century 21 is really a company that have an employee advocacy that is really strong. When we say employee advocacy, it means one employee that makes the advocacy for you, so that will represent you, that will bring you in front of the people, even while you, as a company, you don't spend any money doing it. So it's like organic. It comes just because you have a strong brand. That brand for employees is a pleasure to bring to people. It's a pleasure to look like, hey, look, I work for Century 21. So look at me, I am Century 21 and I can help you. So that way of having an employee advocacy at mid-term, long-term of the scaling of a company, it's really important because, as you said, it brings people to want to work for that company, but it also brings customers to want to be connected to those people just because they are from that brand. So, and then you get to another level of succeed in the business. Yeah.
That's all for today.
That's all for today. I think we had great time. So, guys, it has been a pleasure exchanging with you again. Antoine, thank you again for the time. And guys, don't forget, while we finish this podcast, you have to give us a feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like. You have to follow us if you don't, of course, and we'll be pleased to have your feedback and whatever we can improve to bring you more content, we bring you more knowledge and bring you more of our own experience. Guys, take care of you and we see you soon.
Cheers.